tension, which clearly had been simmering since long before kick-off, had suddenly exploded. Easter Road had become an ugly scene. One section of the crowd looked certain to spill over. There were various pockets of trouble now, and after consultation with the police, referee Jim McCluskey removed the players from the field. The match restarted, and by half-time Hearts were 3 up. Fighting broke out again during the half-time break. The police moved in. In all, there were 46 arrests made, with 17 fans suffering minor injuries. One pregnant woman who fell was later released unhurt from hospital after precautionary checks. Hearts chairman Wallace Mercer had been told not to attend the match in the interests of his own safety. He watched the game and the crowd scenes at Scottish television.
People will always use a situation like this as a stage. I mean, why are people herding down to that particular section of the ground? Obviously, they only go there because they know it's going to be a flashpoint. I leave it up to the professionals to make a judgment of how that should be controlled. It's not to me. But personally, I feel very concerned for the players in both teams, because there's no way that you can play football in that sort of emotionally charged environment and be relaxed.
Did you hope that by staying away from the ground that such incidents might be avoided?
Yes, I thought it might reduce the tension, it might reduce the pressure on the players. And it's not pleasing for me to sit with my family and watch 10 or 15,000 people shouting "Mercer must die."
This afternoon, SFA Secretary Jim Farry told Scott Sport that the association will demand that both Hibs and Hearts report their versions of yesterday's events. The referee, linesman and supervisor will also submit reports, and the entire issue will be discussed by the Disciplinary and Referee Committee on Monday, October the 8th. The SFA are also concerned that the terracing gates were left open at Easter Road. The association's policy is that these gates should be closed but unlocked and manned. This regulation came into force following the Taylor report after the Hillsborough disaster. Farry said that unfortunately there seemed to be different interpretations of this policy in the various police areas. A spokesman for Lothian and Borders Police said this afternoon that the system they operate is successful. And the game has thrown up a further problem for Hearts and their caretaker manager Sandy Clark. We understand that Clark will be reported to the SFA for appearing to be in breach of a touchline ban when he went onto the pitch before the game. The ban even prevents a manager from walking out with his team to inspect the playing surface, and the possibility of him coming into conflict with the match officials. Well, yesterday's Edinburgh derby between Hibs and Hearts, of course, took place following dramatic times at both clubs. During the summer, Hibs were the subject of a bitterly contested takeover bid. And just last week, Hearts hit the headlines with the sacking of their manager, Alex MacDonald, and replacing him with Sandy Clark. So with that background, this was to be one Edinburgh derby with a huge amount at stake. Match commentator, Jerry McNee.
There's the Hibernian lineup, which hopes to end a miserable run of 4 games without a goal, and the run which includes a Skull Cup knockout by First Division Raith Rovers. And in fact, there's the man who has scored their only goal so far, Keith Houchin, a £300,000 signing from Coventry, who's been a cup winner in the south. And one man who got a tremendous lift in midweek was Andy Gorham, who's now surely made the Scotland goalkeeping position his own. He won his 10th cap against Romania. Well, like their capital rivals, Hearts have also been goal shy, failing to hit the net in the last 3 games. Caretaker boss Sandy Clark has had to contend with illness and injury problems all week before deciding on this lineup. But he'll be delighted with John Robertson's midweek goal for Scotland and hoping it proves a springboard towards more this afternoon. Robertson has scored twice for Hearts this season. But still to get off the mark is John Cahoon, a bargain buy from Celtic in 1985 and one of the few successes in the 3-1 defeat by Rangers last Saturday. And there's the match referee with the respective captains, Mr. Jim McCluskey from Stewarton, who handled the Scott Sport match between Celtic and Aberdeen 2 weeks ago and handled it well. And so Hibernian kick off a fixture which looked like being confined to the history books, and it kicks off amid an emotion-charged atmosphere. Let's hope that those who write about it remember it for all of the right reasons. Certainly both clubs with plenty to prove. Both based at the bottom of the league, along with newly promoted St Johnstone. Wayne Foster now for Hearts. Long one through by McKinlay, looking for Robertson. And Andy Gorham stepping in for Hibs. And Sanderson in there ahead of Wright. John Robertson, very closely marked by Neil Cooper, does well, shields the ball well, gets it to Mackay. Hearts have plenty of players forward. Here's Robertson. He's got Foster in the middle. There's Mackay coming in. And Hibs scramble it clear, only as far as Neil Berry. In steps Alan Snedden. And the danger cleared. Well, Alan Snedden played the opening match of the season, but ended up in crutches. Nice to see him back this afternoon. He's been with Hibernian now for 9 years after his transfer from Celtic. Here's Foster for Hearts. Stumbles as he's challenged by McKinlay. Well, the referee awarding the free kick, it looked as though he was trying to allow the advantage, but there really wasn't one. And the free kick to Hearts. Wayne Foster on the edge of the penalty area as Levine plays it through. Miller getting a touch to it. Robertson's in there. Robertson doing well. And the deflection, it's a goal for Hearts! Oh, what a disaster for Hibs. John Robertson playing the ball into the middle. Oh, what a record this little man has of causing trouble for Hibs. Andy Gorham looking quite disconsolate. 12 minutes on the clock. And John Robertson cutting into the penalty area, flipping the ball forward and deflected into the net. But we have an incident on the field and several players having to race forward, fans invading the park. And the police moving in quickly, but Andy Gorham had to lend a hand. I think some fans trying to get at John Robertson. Oh, rather sad scenes here at Easter Road. Another fan on the park now in a Hibs jersey, and the players urging him to get off. Well, this is the kind of scene I think we all feared on the way here today. So the game gets underway again with Hibs trailing by a goal to nil. John Robertson's effort deflected into the roof of the net. Well, as play goes on, there's still fighting going on. The corner way down to the left of our commentary position. And it really is getting quite nasty now. Well, you can understand Alec Miller feeling so upset. Manager's been under so much strain all during the summer, but the players will have to leave the field. The referee taking no chance. Mr. McCluskey, a FIFA official, and certainly a very experienced man in the game. Now the emotions of a long and difficult summer coming to the surface today, but there really is no excuse for behaviour like this. And another youngster led away. Well, the Hearts fans, they're away to our left, and there really should have been, I think, a bigger barrier between both sets of supporters. Just looking down to my left, in fact, the Hibs fans right up against the enclosure fence, just a few feet away from the Hearts supporters. So perhaps the police can get in there and create some kind of barrier. Well, both sets of players coming back onto the field now. And hopefully we can get on with the game of football. It certainly can't be easy for the players. A number of them coming in this afternoon because of illness and injury to others. So the match gets underway again, with Hearts leading by a goal to nil. And a foul by Craig Levine on Paul Wright. Lee Findlay, long one forward for Graham Mitchell to chase, being watched all the way by George Wright. And winning the corner kick for Hibs. Well, perhaps a chance now for them to get themselves back into this game. Lee Findlay going across to take it. Up comes Gordon Hunter to lend his weight to the attack. And it comes, a real scramble there, the ball still not properly cleared, and another corner to Hibs. Alan Snedden getting the shot in, deflected over the bar. Well, Henry Smith not looking too happy about that situation, as Keith Houchin taking up station at the near post. So another corner to Hibs. Sanderson's there. Well, does well under a bit of pressure. Getting it through. That's a good ball to Paul Wright, and he's brought down. This will be a booking for Alan McLaren. Well, a good ball was put through to Paul Wright and bundled to the ground. So McLaren being spoken to by the referee, and the first yellow card of the afternoon. Well, Hibs forcing their way more and more into this game since it restarted. Snedden's in there again. And the ball breaking off the post, and it's Ginley. And again, trouble for the Hearts defence, and it's Craig Levine to the rescue. John Cahoon trying to battle his way through, and, well, a high boot going into John Cahoon. And he's in obvious agony. And here it is again, and dreadful tackling there, and Hunter, the defender, but the man being called over by the referee, Willie Miller, is about to be shown the yellow card. Gordon Hunter was heavily involved in the challenge, and John Cahoon still on the ground. Well, happily, John Cahoon has recovered. And it's Craig Levine over the ball. Looking for John Robertson. It's headed away by Neil Cooper, only as far as George Wright. Levine in there battling again, and in fact winning the throw-in. Foster now for Hearts. Cahoon trying to drive it forward, but blocked by Alan Snedden. Forward to Foster again. Cahoon. Mackay. George Wright. And into the far post. McKinley coming in. It's headed behind by Willie Miller. The corner kick to Hearts. Craig Levine going forward along with Alan McLaren. And John Robertson going over to Took this one, in fact, leaving it now to John Cahoon. Craig Levine there, poised for the cross. Levine with a header and a ball in the net, and it's John Robertson, I think, getting the final touch. Certainly a powerful header from Craig Levine, right through the Hibs defence. Robertson was lurking there. 24 minutes on the clock. Hibernian 0, Hearts 2, and Andy Gorham can't quite believe it. Well, Levine was in plenty of space. The high ball played right across the face of the box. The header, Robertson was there, whether he got the merest touch. But certainly Levine will probably claim that one. Ball away by Graham Mitchell, trying to find Keith Houchin, but it's enough to win the throw-in for Hibs. Throw-in conceded by McLaren. Breaking to John Robertson. Cahoon topples to the ground. Robertson going forward, he's brought down. Right on the edge of the penalty area. Well, just inside. And here it comes. Cahoon toppling to the ground. Robertson charging forward. And crashing to the ground by Gordon Hunter. And the yellow card shown to Hunter. So 3 bookings so far this afternoon, and Neil Cooper being called forward now as well. And this could be for on a foul on Cahoon, who toppled to the ground just before Robertson broke clear. So booking number 4, Hunter and Cooper of Hibs, McLaren and Miller of Hearts. Well, more danger for Hibs here. And it's played forward to Gary Mackay. Breaks to Tosh McKinlay. Back to Mackay. Miller going across to meet him. And conceding the throw-in. John Cahoon with the throw-in to John Robertson. Well, almost finding George Wright. It was worth trying. Sanderson to Cahoon, to Mackay. Stringing the passes together. George Wright. Away though by Gordon Hunter. Still Hearts keeping on the pressure. Cahoon, good ball through to Foster. He's got Robertson in the middle. John Robertson! What a goal by Hearts! Oh, that was magnificent play. 44 minutes gone. And a classic goal by Hearts, building the play quite brilliantly. It was Mackay to Cahoon. Forward then to Wayne Foster, using his tremendous pace to get away from Snedden. John Robertson coming in, and the header giving Andy Gorham no chance whatsoever. Well, John Robertson enjoys scoring goals against Hibernian. He does it again this afternoon. Hibernian 0, Hearts 3. Well, some Hibernian scarves have been thrown onto the field just in front of our commentary position. As Stewart runs on to lift them off as the teams now head for the tunnel. Well, a dramatic first half, a pitch invasion. 3 goals for Hearts. The first John Robertson effort, which was deflected high into the net past Andy Gorham. Then a powerful header from Craig Levine, who was in plenty of space. And John Robertson with a magnificent header after a fine build-up right on the stroke of half-time. A half-time score here at Easter Road, Hibernian 0, Hearts 3. And so the second half gets underway. And it's Tosh McKinlay. Ball breaking kindly for Robertson, but Neil Cooper stepping in. Good play by Levine. Levine again, trying to thread it through to McKinley. Knocked away by Gordon Hunter. Sanderson's in there again for Hearts. Robertson. Cut out by Willie Miller. Ouchin. Trying to find McGinley, and McGinley going in very late. But Jimmy Sanderson back on his feet. And the free kick to Hearts. There's the very high boot from McGinley catching Jimmy Sanderson. Foster climbing above the Hibs defence. And they're running into trouble. John Robertson trying to find Cahoon. Across comes Gordon Hunter, but some poor defensive play by Hibs. A bit untidy out there at the moment. Brian Hamilton running into trouble, but he recovers. Paul Wright. And Gordon Hunter breaking out of defence. And the free kick awarded to Hibernian, quickly taken. Here comes Wright. Bring it to McGinley. Sanderson getting the touch for Hearts, away by Wayne Foster. And Hibernian have the throw-in. It's Willie Miller. Forward to McGinley, who's been watched all the way by Berry. And the ball going out of play. In fact, the referee, I think, awarding a free kick against Tosh McKinley, or against Neil Berry, I should say. A bit of an elbow used, the referee indicating. So the free kick to Hibs. And Graham Mitchell, the man to take it. Ouchin up there, Henry Smith punching it away, not very convincingly, and taking it at the second attempt. Well, that was a good effort by McGinley. The overhead kick took a slight deflection. The high kick came into the middle. Smith didn't get it properly away. McGinley picked it up. The overhead kick, and a bit of a fumble there by Henry, but he does well. He snatches it away from the feet of Keith Ouchin. Good one through for John Robertson. And it's cleared by Hunter, and just as well because John Cahoon was racing through the middle. Robertson leaving it to McKinley. John Cahoon. Gary Mackay finding Robertson, good first time touch. Cahoon! Oh, magnificent effort by John Cahoon. Again, a nice build-up by Hearts. Gary Mackay floating it through to Robertson, and Cahoon, the first time shot right across the face of the goal. Ouchin getting a nice touch. Sanderson again for Hearts. What a game he's had. Hibs trying to force a play forward. Mickey Weir, surrounded by maroon jerseys, does well. Gets it there to Billy Findlay. That was well away by George Wright under plenty of pressure. Hibs have it again though through Brian Hamilton to Paul Wright, trying the dummy, but it's read by Alan McLaren. Gary Mackay for Hearts, trying to find Foster. Trying to build some play. Graham Mitchell. Away by Sanderson. Hamilton with the drive, and a magnificent save by Henry Smith. And the ball was played across the broke to Brian Hamilton. That was an immense strike, and Henry Smith getting his right hand to it and pushing it behind for the corner. And Gordon Hunter going into the box, another way by Neil Berry. A long ball forward, no flag. Mickey Weir getting the touch, in comes Pat McGinley, and it's well read again by Henry Smith, committing himself, snatching the ball away. Good play by the Hearts keeper. And on comes Walter Kidd, veteran Hearts player, signed in 1977. Mind you, he's only 32. And a great servant to Hearts. Mitchell for Hibernian. Levine stepping in for Hearts. Ian Ferguson with a glancing header. It breaks for Keith Houchin. Paul Wright. Good play by Wright. That was a fine effort. Well, he really has worked very hard this afternoon, showing a lot of nice touches. And he said no reward whatsoever. Keith Houchin putting the ball to him. Nice play as he got away from Kidd and trying to clip the ball over Henry Smith. Willie Miller for Hibernian. To Houchin. To McGinley. Ross McKinley snapping away at his heels. Miller providing support. Chased all the way by McLaren, and a foul against McLaren. Well, a poor free kick, and Ross McKinley gets it away. Ian Ferguson caught in possession. Hamilton forward to McGinley. Mickey Weir's there, so too is Houchin. Mickey Weir, good play. He's got Miller on the right. Willie Miller driving it forward, right across the face of the goal. And another chance for Hamilton, and what a save by Henry Smith. Well, two tremendous efforts by Hamilton in this second half. And on both occasions, he's been thwarted by the brilliance of Henry Smith. The ball played into the middle, right across the face of the goal. The first time shot, and there was Smith to push the ball wide. McGinley for Hibs, finding Paul Wright. Snedden coming in support. Wayne Foster going with them, providing the cover. So we're now into injury time, to be added on by Mr. McCluskey from Stewarton. Well, Hamilton's had a couple of good shots at goal. He gets it through to Mickey Weir. Not a good one by Weir. Neil Berry. Well, it looks as though there'll be no consolation at all for Hibs here. The referee checking his watch. McGinley and Levine going for the ball. Good play again by Sanderson, although he has to concede the throw-in. And there, in fact, goes the final whistle. And the Hearts fans delighted with the efforts of their team.
I think it was really important that the whole club got back in the rails after recent events, and you know, for Hearts Football Club, I'm really delighted.
And of course you had a lot of injury and illness problems. You really had to change things around quite a bit.
Well, that's right. We were badly hit, and I think, you know, press and media, etc., always think you're maybe at it a little bit, but it was genuine injuries and problems that we had. But I was fortunate. I think there was only maybe one person out of my original team that I wanted to pick from the start of the week, so it ended up not too bad, and you know, the boys were absolutely brilliant.
It was a positive selection, but you obviously told them in the early stages to keep it calm.
Well, that's right. I think it was always going to be volatile because of events in the past, and it was important that we found our feet and got into the system we were playing, and we did that reasonably well, and after getting the first goal, then that certainly put us in the right tracks.
Jim, a very traumatic day for Hibs on the park, but especially off it.
Yes, I'm disappointed in the result, obviously, but I'm also disappointed in the behaviour of some of the supporters from both clubs. I think that today was a special day where they had the opportunity to show the people that the events of the summer were behind us, and that the fact that 2 independent Premier League clubs exist in Edinburgh is the most important thing of all. And perhaps the emotion just got to 1 or 2 people too many. It was always a concern. I think it was handled very well with the police. We took a lot of precautions. There was a lot of silly threats being made to people before the game. These were ignored, and football went ahead. I think at the end of the day, apart from the result, not a bad game of football to watch. But I'll be looking at this on Monday morning. I believe that people who control football clubs in Scotland, the Scottish game deserves them to investigate matters like this and not just minimise it. 1 arrest is 1 arrest too many, and I'll be looking at this on Monday with my fellow directors, and I want an end put to this type of behaviour.
Well, Jerry, I mean, the crowd trouble apart, there was some good football played at Easter Road yesterday, wasn't there?
There certainly was, and Gordon, I think it is fair to say Hibs tried to start in frantic fashion, obviously wound up by the events of the summer, but Hearts did the right thing away from home by trying to calm things down.
Yeah, they played with a lot of composure at the back yesterday, Hearts, and it was a good team performance. Gary Mackay played well in the middle of the park, and the front 3 always looked dangerous. But Hibs were a big disappointment. I mean, they never really created any chances yesterday, apart from 1 or 2 corner kicks, a couple of long-range efforts for Brian Hamilton. And I think, well, they've not scored a Premier League goal this season, and that's obviously a bit of a problem for Alec Miller. But one consolation for Alec is his team fought very hard for him.
Now, there's no doubt that Hearts were emerging as the better side, but there was a touch of fortune to their first goal, with Pat McGinley deflecting John Robertson's effort.
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, John Robertson does very well here. A lovely little dummy, comes inside, and he's looking to clip it to the back post. Comes off McGinley's head, and he's got him no chance at all. So it was a bad start for Hibs and McGinley. And lovely little bit of skill here. Goal provider, as he was against Romania for Scotland during the week. Into the back of the net, Gorham had no chance there.
No, definitely no luck about goals number 2 and number 3, but I was very surprised at the room Craig Levein was given.
Yeah, for the corner kick, I mean, Cahoon takes the corner here, and Houchin, in actual fact, is Martin Levein, and he seems to lose him. He gets well in front of Houchin here, you'll see, and actually gets a free header. Although I think Andy Gorham was put off with John Robertson, attempting to clip the ball into the net as well. I think that put Andy a little bit off. But you're right, it was bad marking on Hibs' behalf, because you're not looking for people to get free headers from set pieces.
Now, a classic goal coming up here, started by Gary Mackay.
Yeah, lovely. Foster Times has run perfect here and whips a terrific ball in. John Robertson, I mean, great header. Goal provider and goal scorer. As I said, he done the same for Scotland during the week.
Now, there were good individual performances, obviously, from Hearts, but I thought Jimmy Sanderson was a pick of the bunch, especially that deeper role he was playing.
Yeah, well, he's not a regular on the side here. You see him breaking up an attack. And the one pleasing thing about his play yesterday, he wasn't content in humping the ball up the park. He wanted to play, and he built a lot of attacks as well. You see him intercepting here as well. They've done very, very well. See it again. They're knocking the ball about, Hearts here, Jimmy Sanderson, but in saying that, they were 3-0 up at the time, so I suppose you can do that with a lot more confidence.
Now, Ray Wilkins said to Jim in extra time the other night when they were discussing the Old Firm match that in derbies particularly, even when a team is well behind, their pride drives them on. And I think it's fair to say that about Hibs in the second half, despite the fact they were trailing 3-0. They really did keep going. And of course, Brian Hamilton was quite outstanding with those shots.
Yeah, a couple of terrific efforts here. I mean, that must be all of 30 yards or more. Great right foot shot and a terrific save for Henry Smith as well. And he has another one here. There's a clearance, comes right out of the box. On his left foot this time. And another good save by Henry Smith. But as I said earlier, and it was all sort of long-range stuff that Hibs were trying and never really penetrated the Hearts back four at all.
Now, in terms of fighting the good fight, I thought Paul Wright did extremely well too. He showed some lovely touches, even with his back to goal.
Yes, he was up against it a bit, Paul Wright, yesterday, but as I say, I mean, he's doing a lot of his good work. There he are, he's 35, 40 yards away from goal, and I'm sure he'd have liked that kind of service a lot nearer the goal. I mean, he does well here, tries to lob Henry Smith. Good imagination there. But here's another incident, picking the ball up very, very deep. But as you say, the one pleasing thing for Alec Miller was, I mean, at 3-0 down, they still kept playing their hearts out, and I'm sure he was pretty pleased about that, although the result was disastrous.
Now, Alec Miller's obviously got a very tough job in his hands, and we don't want to put him under any more pressure, but could he have used his substitutes a bit earlier yesterday? The team were trailing 3-0.
Yeah, you're right. He has got a tough job in his hands, and obviously he's got no money to spend to buy creative players or buy people that are going to stick the ball in the back of the net. I mean, they've sold John Collins and obviously not getting that money to spend. But as regarding the substitutions, I thought he might have brought Mickey Weir on a little bit earlier than he'd done. You know, when they went 2-0, 3-0 down, they really needed to push forward and take more chances. They eventually took Neil Cooper off at the back, but I mean, it was just a little bit too late. And in actual fact, Mickey Weir done well when he came on.
Now, Hibs are bottom of the league, and obviously I think the reasonable start St Johnstone have made to the season pressures Hibernian even further.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the season's only started. I mean, we've only played a few games, so there's a long, long way to go yet. But if Alec Miller's side shows the same determination, they shouldn't have too many problems, but they're off to a terrible start.
Now, Sandy Clark made a fair debut as caretaker manager. His tactics were good. He was positive despite depleted forces, and he'll be very pleased with things.
Yeah, well, they're looking for a manager, and obviously if Sandy Clark has a good week beating the Russians midweek, and they've got Celtic next week, you know, they might need to look no further than Sandy.
Now, I think we should praise both sets of players for yesterday. A lot of them coming in to try and prove themselves because of the injury and illness and had to be taken off the field, and again the big delay at half-time. That couldn't have helped them.
No, it couldn't have done, and in no way can you blame the players for what happened in the terraces yesterday, because I think players went to great lengths yesterday not to overreact to situations. Obviously there was a few bookings and there was a bit of tough tackling, but they never overreacted at any time.